Hello and welcome to our science lesson. In school we've been learning about sustainability, and within that we've been learning a little bit about global warming. So this PowerPoint goes a little bit more in depth about what we've been learning about in global warming. It's in the headlines all of the time. What is global warming? Let's talk about it. We need to know what it is so that we can do something about it. What is global warming? Global warming, a large part of climate change, is the increase in temperature of Earth. Hotter weather might sound lovely, but the reality is very different. So climate change is about the whole of the climate changing. Global warming is the thing that's contributing to it. It's just a part of it. In the past century, the average temperature has risen by 1 degree C. This might not sound like very much, but this increase has had a huge impact on our life. So if the room temperature that you're in right now increased by 1 degree C, you probably wouldn't notice it a huge amount. But when that's all over the planet, it is making a difference. The rate of the increase in temperature is increasing. This means that in the next 100 years, the average temperature is likely to increase by more than 1 degree C. So it's getting quicker. The temperature is rising more quickly. And we're going to find out why in the next. So what causes global warming? Global warming is caused by greenhouse gases. These include carbon dioxide, ozone, methane, and water vapour. Have you ever been in a greenhouse? There's a picture of a greenhouse just behind my head. Even on a cold day, the temperature inside a greenhouse will be warmer than outside. Sunlight goes through the glass and the heat is trapped inside. Greenhouse gases do the same thing, acting like a blanket around the earth, keeping the heat in. Greenhouse gases occur naturally. So we look at those greenhouse gases and have a think about them. So carbon dioxide, every time we breathe out or any living creature breathes out, they produce carbon dioxide. It's natural. Ozone is all the way around the world and the atmosphere anyway. It's always there. Methane is given off by animals, and we'll learn a little bit more about why and how, but it's definitely natural. And again, water vapour. As puddles or rivers or lakes heat up, some of the surface water evaporates. When we breathe out water vapour too. It's absolutely natural. However, there is more and more being put into the atmosphere around the Earth. Let's continue reading this blue box. Greenhouse gases occur naturally. The average global temperature is around 15 degrees C. Without greenhouse gases, scientists estimate the temperature would be about minus 18 degrees C. So without greenhouse gases, Earth would be too cold for us to survive. Plants wouldn't be able to survive, so we couldn't survive. However, human activity is causing more greenhouse gases, which means the temperature is increasing by too much. So although we just pointed out that some of those greenhouse gases, or all of them, occur naturally, we are making too many of them. So humans make pollution. Human activity that has increased levels of greenhouse gases include the use of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are things such as coal, gas, and oil. And if you remember from our science lessons, they're called fossil fuels because they come from fossils. So these are old living and natural things. As they go into the ground and decompose, they're pushed and altered into coal, gas, and oil. So they were once living things, which is what makes them a fossil fuel. And they're known as a fuel because we can burn them for power and energy. They are burnt in power stations to make electricity and are used to run cars. Remember that oil can be turned into petrol and diesel and kerosene. When fossil fuels are burnt, carbon dioxide is released. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. So when all of the plants or animals died and their remains were turned into coal, gas and oil, all of the carbon in their body was pushed into the ground, and as we're burning it, the combustion, as they're burnt, is letting off carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and all of this extra carbon dioxide is causing the blanket around the earth to become thicker, more of it, and it's keeping more heat in. Humans cut down trees. Deforestation, cutting down huge areas of trees for different reasons, such as using the wood for fuel, building houses or factories, is another cause. Trees absorb carbon dioxide. Fewer trees mean more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So not only are we releasing more of the carbon dioxide by burning the fossil fuels, we're also stopping some of the carbon dioxide being turned back into oxygen by cutting down the trees. Humans also produce food, and this is adding to global warming. Farming is important, and without it, we wouldn't have food. However, some types of farming are contributing to global warming because of the greenhouse gases they produce. Animals such as cows release a greenhouse gas called methane when they burp and break wind. That's the polite term for it. You can probably think of other terms. I'm not mentioning them. Fertilizers that farmers use to help plants grow well and pesticides to keep insects away release greenhouse gases. The world's population is over 7 billion and is continuing to grow at a fast rate. This means more food is needed, so more farming is done. This means even more greenhouse gases are being produced. Okay, so farming, that's the wind, the air that the animals release contains carbon dioxide and methane, which adds to the greenhouse gases, the blanket around the earth, and also the fertilizers add to that. How is farming tackling climate change? The farming industry has developed a greenhouse gas action plan that aims to reduce greenhouse gas. Farmers are tackling climate change in a number of ways. Drones can be used to help farmers identify areas in fields that need treating for issues, such as weeds. The drone can target a certain area of the field where it is a problem. So in the previous slide, we saw that sometimes the fertilizers or the pesticides or weed killers were also contributing to pollution and global warming. By using a drone, those little flying machines, we can figure out exactly where to put that fertilizer or the pesticides, etc., so that it's not so that as little as possible is being used and it's being as effective as possible too. Battery-powered robots are being developed that will apply pesticides and fertilizers and sow seeds. Because the seeds are being applied one at a time, the need for ploughing will be reduced. Large-scale ploughing disturbs the top layer of soil, and this releases a lot of carbon dioxide. So instead of all of the fields being ploughed, each seed can be pushed in individually. Farmers are also planting more trees and growing bigger hedgerows. Plants absorb carbon dioxide and produce oxygen as part of a process called photosynthesis. So they can reduce their global warming, their greenhouse gases, by actually planting more trees and getting rid of some of that carbon dioxide. Did you know some companies say that manure can be used to generate electricity? So instead of burning fossil fuels, perhaps we can use the cow manure. So here's some of the problems with global warming. Global warming melts ice. Global warming is causing ice at both the North and South Poles to melt. This means animals such as polar bears, penguins and seals are losing their habitats. When ice melts, it turns into water. The melting polar ice caps are causing sea levels across the world to rise. Sea levels are rising around 0.3 centimetres per year. This could see coastal areas flooded, leaving less land to live on and food to grow. So 0.3 centimetres, think about a centimetre being quite small. 0.3, it's 3 millimetres. It's only a very small amount per year, but if that's happening every year over time, it means the flood levels are going up a lot. Global warming also means hotter temperatures around the world. Hotter temperatures will result in droughts. Droughts not only mean less water for people to drink, but also less water to produce crops for both humans and animals. And if there's less crops, there'll be famines. There will not be enough food to feed everybody. And remember, with these plants also take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen. And if there are no plants, because there is not enough water to sustain them, it will also mean more global warming. And we've got a second picture here. More heat causes increase in evaporation of ocean water, which in turn increases the amount of water vapour in the atmosphere. This leads to more extreme weather, such as hurricanes and tornadoes. So the more global warming, the hotter the temperatures, there'll be more hurricanes, tornadoes, more storms. So here's the bit on what we can do to stop global warming. Being green. Saving electricity is a great way to become more green. You can achieve this by doing simple things, such as switching the lights off when you leave the room, but make sure other people are not still in there. Appliances such as TVs and computers should be properly switched off and not left on standby when they're not being used. You can ask the grown-ups you live with to use energy-saving light bulbs. Reduce, reuse and recycle. Although recycling is very important, people need to think more about the first two parts of that phrase. Reduce the amount of waste you create and reuse whatever you can. Being more green. Living an environmentally friendly life is the best way to help the planet. Using less plastic and walking or cycling rather than using a car makes a big difference. Buying locally grown food is another great way to be more green. When food from the other side of the world is transported on aeroplanes to our country, lots of carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere from engines of aeroplanes. A lorry transporting vegetables from a few miles down the road is much more environmentally friendly. Okay, use your notes to log on to our Kahoot quiz. It's also in your Class Dojo link, and fill in all of the information. Have a great day.